بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. So yesterday we began speaking about some of the athar of the Salaf Salih and the ulama, some of the statements of those pious predecessors of ours. And we went through some statements of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayh and Hassan Basri rahmatullahi alayh. The next person, وقال مطرف بن الشخير أوثق أعمالي عندي حبي للرجل الصالح. He said that the most trustworthy of deeds in my opinion is to love a pious person. He said that the deed that I have the most i'timad and the most faith on out of all of my deeds is the love that I have for a pious person. And this is something that the other ulama are in agreement about. For example, there's a poem. Some say that Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi said it. Others say that it's Imam Shafi's. And Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi was a great poet, so perhaps it's Imam Shafi's. But he said that أحب الصالحين ولست منهم لعل الله يرزقني صلاحا. That I love the pious people though I'm not from amongst them. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant me and provide me with piety. So this is something that's very important. The love of pious people and the love of pious people is enough to make a person pious. So many people here, they have, I'm just going to give the example, they may not like it, but we have our Ali Bhai over here, mashallah. Since the time I've known him, 13 years I've known him, he has love for all ulama and scholars, right? Many years ago, before his sons were born, I was teaching him tajweed. Whether he learned or not, he could tell you better, but his sons, mashallah, read excellent. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made his son a hafiz, right? Not just like a regular hafiz, a good hafiz, mashallah. And may Allah protect him and allow him to increase and do better and, be a shining star. But this is a love, he has. It's not for one imam or any alim. He just has love for them. Every time my father comes, he asks, can I drop your father at the airport? This is the type of love that he has. And there's so many other people like that in the community. I'm just giving his example today. There's so many other people. That love that we have for pious people, that also draws the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon a person. Why? If somebody treats your child well, won't you have extra love for them? Won't you have some concern for them? So now when somebody is beloved to Allah and you treat them well, how will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be towards you? Okay, after that, the next is وَقَالَ أَبُو نَصْرٍ بِشْرٌ الْحَافِيُّ رَحِمَهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى. We might have heard this name, Bishr Hafi, rahmatullahi alayh. They say about him, استوى بشر على العراق بغير سيف وبغير دم يهراق. That Bishr took over Iraq. Bishr became dominant over Iraq without any sword and without shedding any blood. Meaning that the people, they looked at Bishr Hafi as the senior most person. This is how some of the ulama were of that time. Harun Rashid, great Khalifa, he was there one time and he went to, I don't remember which city it was, maybe it was Baghdad. It was in Baghdad, he lived there. So his wife, saw how he was treated. Abdullah bin Mubarak, rahmatullahi alayh, he happened to visit Baghdad. Thousands of people went onto the street and stood at the side of the street just trying to see Abdullah bin Mubarak. So his wife said to him, Harun Rashid, that you're not the Khalifa, he's the Khalifa. Look at how the people have so much love and honor for him. Similarly, this Bishr Hafi, they say that about him. So Bishr Hafi was from a place called Mar. Mar is a city in Turkmenistan, I think nowadays, current day Turkmenistan. Merv, I think is what they call it now. But khair, anyway, it was a great place, great ulama were from there. And his life was not very pious initially. But one day, just like Malik bin Dinar, he was walking through the streets and he saw a piece of paper. And he saw that the name of Allah was on it. It wasn't like a Quran or anything, it was a piece of paper and it had Allah's name on it along with other things. So people weren't paying attention, they were walking, trampling, whatever. He saw this, he grabbed it, he picked it up, he kissed it, he perfumed it, he honored it. And then he heard that night, he heard a voice saying that, Ya Bishr, tayyabta ismi, you perfumed my name. So, tayyabtu or sa'utayyibuka, sayutayyib basmaka, I will perfume your name until the day of judgment or in this world, something to that effect. And after that, his life changed. He became a very, very pious person. So he said, "Alayka bi suhbatil akhyar." It is incumbent upon you to keep the company. To keep the company. Did I miss one? No. To keep the company of the chosen people, the select people, meaning the pious people. In aradta ar-rahata fi tilka ad-dar. وأن تحسن ظنك بالأشرار وتنفك من رزق الأغيار. So he says that if you want comfort in this worldly abode, then it's incumbent upon you to do a few things. Number one, to have companionship of the pious. Number two, وأن تحسن ظنك بالأشرار, and to have a positive opinion of the wicked people. What does that mean? That means that you don't look down on them and become arrogant and say that this person is going to hell, this person is like this person is like this, because Allah knows the end of everybody, right? Like our ulama, they would say, I'll just give an example now because we're fasting. So in the month of Ramadan, once Maulana Shaykh Ali Thanvi rahmatullahi alayhi, he had all of his students visiting him for i'tikaf. And he said, I am fasting now. It's the month of Ramadan and I take a qasam that I consider myself to be the lowest of all people in this world. Right? I consider myself to be the lowest of all people, and in regard to the future, I consider myself to be lower than even animals. He said, right now, I consider myself to be the lowest of all Muslims. And in regard to the future, I feel lower than all kafirs and animals as well. He said, why? He said, because I only know my sins. I don't know anybody else. Even if I know somebody else's sins, they might do tawbah. What do I know? But myself, I know my sins. And I don't know if Allah's accepted my tawbah. And in regard to the future, an animal, they just cancel out on the day of judgment. They're not punished. Kuffar, if they accept Islam, they're far ahead of us. So Bishr Hafi, he said this as well. So if we want to have comfort, have the company of pious people, and have a good opinion of wicked people, وَتَنْفَكَّ مِنْ رِقِّ الْأَغْيَارِ, and free yourself from the bondage of everyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't depend on anyone and don't be a slave to anyone. وقال سيدي أحمد بن الرفاعي رحمه الله. He said, our leader, Sayyidi Ahmad bin Rifa'i, he said, مصاحبة أهل التقوى نعمة عظيمة من نعم الله على العبد. The companionship of the people of taqwa is a great, great bounty from the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon a person. If you look around and you see that the people around you are pious, this is a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has love for you. وقال أبو السعود ابن أبي العشاء رحمه الله من أراد أن يعطى الدرجة القصوى يوم القيامة فليصاحب في الله. Abu Sa'ud Ibn Abu al-Ashair, he said, whoever wants that they be given the highest level of Jannah on the day of Jannah, on the highest level on the day of judgment, they should seek out companionship for the sake of Allah. وَمَنْ أَحَبَّ أَن تُصْرَفَ عَنْهُ مَرَارَةُ الْمَوْقِفِ. And if a person wants that the sourness, the bitterness of standing in front of Allah be turned away from them, فَلْيُطْعِمْ أَخًا فِي اللَّهِ شَيْئًا مِنَ الْحَلْوَى. Then feed your brothers for the sake of Allah sweet things. Feed them something sweet. Kajur, chai, different things that, sweet things is nice. وفي الحديث من وافق من أخيه شهوة غفر له. Whoever fulfills the desire, a hadith states, narrated by Imam Bazzar, whoever fulfills the desire of his brother, his sins will be forgiven. وقال شيخ الوفائية رحمه الله تعالى, Shaykh Wafa'iyya, he said, لا تبع ذرة من حب الله أو في الله بقناطير من الأعمال. Do not trade one atom's weight of love for Allah, love for the sake of Allah, or love for Allah, for even a mountain of gold. Why? قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم المرء مع من أحبه. A person is with those whom he loves. So he's saying that if you love for the sake of Allah, don't trade that for anything, even if you're going to be given a mountain full of good deeds. Because those mountain full of good deeds, we could do things and that could be taken away from us, Allah forbid. Or they might not be accepted, because on the Day of Judgment, deeds are weighed, they're not counted, right? But Rasulullah ﷺ has promised, Al-mar'u ma'a man ahabba. A person will be with those who they love on the Day of Judgment. So if you love someone, and even if your deeds are not, at that level, you will be with them, inshallah, on the Day of Judgment and in Jannah. So that's a very type of reliable thing. So again, we should seek out those whom we love. We should love them for the sake of Allah, and love pious people, people that we have opinion that there will be a person of Jannah, and spend time with them and love them and make dua for them, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes them better than what you think of them, right? Whatever you see in public, may Allah make their private even better than that. And then, inshallah, you'll be with them in Jannah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Jazakallah khairan.